My name is Olivia Grant. I'm 30 years old, and until last month, I thought I finally had my life in order. I work maintenance at the city water plant, graveyard shifts, steel toe boots, and hands that smell like copper no matter how many times I wash them. I don't mind. It's honest work. When I bought my two-bedroom house 3 years ago, I didn't care that the porch paint peeled or that the fridge hummed like an old man with asthma. It was mine. After years of renting, saving, and fixing leaky sinks for neighbors, I'd earned that small slice of peace. My father, Harold, didn't see it that way. He just grunted, "Don't get cocky," when I told him I'd closed. That was his version of affection. He raised me and my younger sister Lily alone after Mom left. And by raised, I mean barked orders and handed out opinions like commandments. He loves us, I think, but his love has sharp corners. He calls Lily my girl, with this soft tone I've never heard directed at me. Lily glides through life. Jobs appear, bills vanish, and she somehow always lands on her feet, with someone else's help. Dad calls her a free spirit. I call it irresponsible. But Dad has a way of making irresponsibility sound charming, when it's Lily's. It started small. Lily borrowed my lawnmower, then my car for just one weekend. Then she started showing up at my house like it was a community lounge. Dad said, "Let her be, Liv. She needs stability." Translation: You'll handle it. I worked double shifts, paid the mortgage, and tried to ignore the resentment tightening behind my ribs. Then I got sick. It began like a cold, fatigue, coughing, short breath. But within days, I was struggling to breathe. The ER nurse said pneumonia and hooked me up to oxygen. 21 days. That's how long I stayed in that hospital room, with its flickering fluorescent light and the number 4 and 12B burned into my memory. Dad came once, on day 4. He stood at the foot of my bed, eyes darting between me and the heart monitor. "You scared your sister," he said. "You should have called sooner." He brought me socks I already owned, told me to get some rest, and left before my dinner tray arrived. Lily texted once on day 9. "You okay? I might swing by if my schedule opens." Her schedule, a Pilates class and a farmer's market. By day 13, I'd stopped checking my phone. I just stared at the white ceiling, wondering if I was the only one holding this family together by sheer obligation. Then, on day 14, I got a photo from my neighbor, Mr. Patel. He'd meant to send it to his wife. It showed my front porch. In the picture, Dad stood there holding my spare key. Lily was smiling beside him, surrounded by boxes. The caption read, "Big move day." For a second, I thought the fever was back. I zoomed in twice. My house, my porch, my key. I typed, "That's my house," then deleted it. Day 21, the nurse wheeled me out with antibiotics and a folder of discharge papers. The air outside felt heavy, like the world had moved on without me. I took a rideshare home. My bag thumped against my sore ribs as I walked up the driveway. Dad was standing on my porch, arms crossed, face unreadable. Lily was behind him, holding a measuring tape, wearing one of those influencer smiles that never quite reach the eyes. I thought they were there to welcome me home. "Hey," I started weakly. "What's going on?" Dad didn't answer that. He just said, flat and cold, "It's not yours anymore." For a heartbeat, I thought he was joking. "What?" He lifted his chin toward the new deadbolt. "Change of plans. Lily's moving in. She needs stability. You're never here anyway." Lily twirled the measuring tape like a baton. "It's for the best, Liv. You can get something smaller. Cozy." My chest tightened, not from pneumonia this time. "That's my house," I said quietly. Dad sighed. "You should have thought of that before you went and got yourself sick. Lily can't live at my place anymore. It's too cramped. This is family helping family." "Family?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "You gave away my home." Lily shrugged, unfazed. "You'll figure something out. You always do." I looked at her, my little sister who'd borrowed, taken, smiled, and been forgiven all her life, and then at my father, who had just erased my years of work with one decision. For a moment, I wanted to scream, to beg, to demand an explanation, but I didn't. Instead, I adjusted the strap on my hospital bag, turned toward the sidewalk, and said the only thing I could manage. "Enjoy it." Dad squinted. "That's it? That's all you've got to say?" "That's all I've got today." I walked away. Past the maple tree I'd planted, past the porch where I'd eaten breakfast on quiet Sundays, past the windows I'd painted myself. I didn't cry until the motel door closed behind me. That night, lying on a thin mattress that crinkled every time I breathed, I stared at the ceiling tiles until they blurred into shapes. I wasn't thinking about revenge, not yet. I was thinking about patterns, about how every time Lily made a mess, I paid for it. How every time Dad said family, it really meant, you'll fix this, Olivia. And as I counted the days I'd been gone, I started counting something else. The costs. The mortgage, the taxes, the utilities, the groceries. And slowly, beneath the hurt and disbelief, something steadier began to form. A plan. Because maybe, just maybe, I was done being their safety net. The motel's air conditioner rattled like a shopping cart with one bad wheel. I lay on top of the covers, lungs tender from coughing, and watched the blue light from the street lamps cut bars across the ceiling. If I let myself feel everything, I would drown. So I did what I've always done when the world tilts. I made a list. I wrote in block letters on the back of my discharge instructions. Mortgage, $1,146. Property tax, due acheté, $2,187. Utilities, AVG, $196. Groceries, solo, TA. Repairs, whatever breaks. Guests, $0. At the bottom, I added one more line, the only number that mattered. My spine. I underlined it twice. People like to say, betrayal happens suddenly, like a trapdoor. It doesn't. It's a hallway, a long, carpeted hallway where every small step feels harmless until you realize the door behind you has locked. We grew up in that hallway. After Mom left, Dad mastered the quick pivot, how to turn hurt into hardness, how to worship grit and despise gentleness. The rules were simple. If Lily cried, everything stopped. If I bled, I was fine. When we both brought home A's, he took Lily for ice cream and told me, "Don't let it go to your head." When Lily dented the car, he blamed the pole. When I spilled milk, he spoke for 15 minutes about carelessness, like he was delivering a keynote address. I learned early that capability was a curse. The more I could carry, the more they loaded me with. Family pitches in, Dad would say. Somehow, pitching in always meant I paid. At 23, I kept 2 jobs and a jar on my dresser labeled House in shaky Sharpie. I fixed neighbors' sinks for 60 cash and watched drywall videos at 1.25x speed. The day I got pre-approved for a mortgage, I cried in the bank parking lot because a letter on cheap printer paper felt like permission to exist. When I closed 3 years later, my checking account limped along with $800, and I wore the same steel-toe boots to celebrate that I wore to work. Dad scanned the deed and said, "Don't get cocky." In the same breath, he declared, "We'll do family dinners here." And just like that, my house became ours. He gave Lily a key for emergencies. Emergencies turned out to be, my landlord is weird, it's loud at Dad's, I need a place to film, and can Maya crash? She's going through it. Strangers' shoes lined up on my mat. Rose petals clogged my tub drain for a video. Utility bills bloated. When I asked for a heads up, they blinked as if I'd spoken another language. Boundaries slid off them like oil in a pan. It sounds small until it repeats. You come home from a 12-hour shift, lungs tasting like copper, and find Lily's ring light reflecting on your thrifted coffee table. You remind Dad to put the thermostat back, and he warns you about neighborhood crime with the front door propped wide open. You eat pasta straight from the pot because there are no clean bowls, and when you say, "This is not a community center," Dad says, "You only have this because of family." I wanted to ask which family he meant. The pneumonia came the way bad things come. After too many overtime forms signed with hands that shook, after too many basements with wet air and no masks, after I ignored a cough because the mortgage doesn't care if you're tired. In 412B, the night nurse tucked the blanket in and said my name like it was made of velvet. On day 7, she adjusted my oxygen and said, "You look like you're planning a heist." "I'm planning not to be robbed," I whispered. She laughed, then saw my face and stopped. "You need boundaries, baby." I used to hate that word. It sounded like an Instagram quote with beige font. Lying under the bleach-smelling sheet, it felt like a lock I didn't have to apologize for. The photo from Mr. Patel detonated the denial. Dad with my spare key, Lily with boxes. Big move day. It wasn't a mistake, it was a thesis. They believed my competence was infinite and my patience a public well. I needed to be something other than the well. I started with the calm things, not texts, not scenes, information. I pulled up the county site on the motel's slow Wi-Fi and read housing codes until the words swam. I called a friend of a friend in the sheriff's office and asked, purely hypothetically, what notice window applied for unauthorized occupants in an owner-occupied residence with no lease on file. The answer? 7 days. I wrote it down. Then I called a property manager whose card I'd saved in a kitchen drawer under uneven rubber bands and receipts. I might be ready to rent, I said. Soon. He said he had travel nurses looking. Good references, no drama. My lungs ached in a way that wasn't illness. I made one more call to a locksmith who said Monday, 8 a.m. Without fanfare, I printed a notice to vacate at the FedEx by the freeway. $1.32 to staple. I dated it. I made 2 copies. I slept a little. The next morning, my phone lit up like a siren. 17 missed calls from Dad. 31 texts from Lily. A group chat, ping. Can someone bring foil? As if I had been erased into a casserole. I didn't respond. I took my pills. I set alarms for water and breathing exercises, and the minute the 7-day window closed, I ironed a shirt I didn't need to iron. Not for them. For me. To remember I could choose a crisp seam on a Monday morning. But clarity is not a straight line. Grief kept interrupting. Between tabs for legal templates and locksmith confirmations, other memories bubbled up like a bad song on shuffle. Lily at 11 in a glitter headband, Dad saying, "She's going to be a star." Me at 12 with a science fair ribbon, Dad saying, "Let's not make too big a deal." Lily at 19, moving in with a boyfriend who forgot rent, Dad calling me, "Liv, can you help with a deposit just this once?" That once turned into gas money, turned into a credit card in my name, just for emergencies, turned into me tracking interest rates at midnight while she posted smoothies and sunsets. I don't hate my sister. I hate the math of it. The equation where my responsibility cancels out her consequence, where Dad's love for Lily only fits if I am the scaffolding. On day 3 of the countdown, Nurse Carmen called to check on me. "How's the breathing?" "Better," I said. "Worse," I meant. "You sound steadier," she said, like she could hear my posture through the phone. "Remember what we talked about. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're instructions." I wrote it down under my spine. That night, I dreamed of the maple tree out front, the one that drops helicopters in spring like confetti from a shy parade. In the dream, the helicopters were tiny brass keys, spinning down onto my open palm. I woke up with my heart steady for the first time in weeks. The 4th day, I walked the 2 blocks from the motel to my house at sunrise and taped the notice to vacate under the wiper of Dad's truck. Polite, precise, dated. Mr. Patel's door camera caught me. Later, I watched myself in the grainy playback, hair pulled back, hospital bracelet still on my wrist, shoulders squared. I looked like a woman leaving a note for herself. "This is the day you stopped bleeding out your kindness." I half expected him to call, to rage, to beg, to at least notice. Nothing. Hours passed. The paper disappeared from the windshield. A crumple in Mr. Patel's trash can told me exactly who noticed and exactly what he thought of it. Fine, I documented that too. By day 5, the group chat had mutated into lectures from Aunt Carol and crying selfies from cousins who enjoy a good crisis but never a solution. I muted it and opened a spreadsheet instead. Rent incoming versus mortgage. Locksmith fee versus security deposit from hypothetical tenants. Storage costs versus peace of mind. Every cell I filled lightened me a little. The choices snapped into place like a well-cut joint. Not revenge, not a tantrum. Maintenance. The kind of maintenance I do at work when a system leaks and you shut the valve and fix the seal and the hiss finally stops. On day 6, Lily texted me directly for the first time. "We need to talk. Don't be dramatic." I typed and deleted 3 replies. What I sent. 7 days. See the notice. She responded with 10 laughing emojis and a selfie with my living room behind her, my thrifted coffee table, my rug. Her caption, "New beginnings." I let the anger rise and fall like a wave and pass without wreckage. I called the property manager. "If Monday is clear," I said, "bring your couple. Noon." He sounded surprised at the speed in my voice. I was too. The last night in the motel, the air conditioner finally surrendered and the room went quiet. I lay on the bed and listened to my own breathing, to the careful in and out the respiratory therapist had coached me to count. 4 in, 6 out. I thought about Dad's old line, "You only have this because of family," and realized how right he was, just not the way he meant. I did have this because of family, because mine taught me the weight of a house, the price of a promise, the sound a lock makes when it clicks into place. Monday would come. The locksmith would come. The property manager would come. I would too. Pressed shirt, blue folder, a stack of copies, and a spine. Not to make a scene, not to win, to end the hallway and open a door with a key of my own choosing. Monday came with a pale sun and air that smelled like rain on dust. I woke up before the alarm. My body felt light, almost detached, like my nerves hadn't caught up with my decisions. At 7:30 a.m., I stood outside my motel door in clean jeans and an ironed work shirt. The folder tucked under my arm wasn't heavy, but it felt like armor. Inside, the printed notice to vacate, receipts, photos, and one crisp lease agreement with new tenants ready to move in at noon. At 7:52, I pulled up to my old street. The maple tree out front had started shedding early, scattering those tiny helicopter seeds across the sidewalk like confetti. For a heartbeat, I just watched them spin. Then I exhaled. Let's get it done. The locksmith's van arrived first, a man named Jorge with kind eyes and a tidy toolbox. Behind him, a silver sedan. My property manager, Mark Peters, polite, clipboard always in hand, the type who'd apologize for breathing too loudly. At 8:01, they followed me up the walkway. Dad opened the door before I could knock. He stood there in his usual uniform, flannel shirt, morning scowl, and a mug that probably didn't belong to him. His eyes dropped to the folder. You finally decided to come crawling back. Good morning, I said evenly. I'm here to take care of some things. Lily's voice floated from inside. We're busy, Liv. I have a client call at 9. I looked past Dad. She was barefoot on my rug, sipping coffee from my mug, her hair in that effortless bun that probably took 20 minutes and 3 products. Perfect, I said softly. You'll want to wrap up soon. At exactly 8:03, the locksmith began drilling. The sound of the old lock breaking free filled the air, metal against metal, final and cold. Dad's face went the color of drywall. What the hell do you think you're doing? Changing the locks, I said simply. It's what people do when unauthorized occupants refuse to leave. He took a step forward. This is our home. No, I replied, meeting his eyes. It's mine. You were guests when invited. Trespassers when you changed the locks. Lily scoffed. You can't evict your own family. I can end access you assumed you had. Mark cleared his throat gently. Mr. Grant, Ms. Grant, you were served a 7-day notice last Monday. The legal period has expired. Please collect personal items. Movers will pack the rest for storage. Dad's jaw tightened. Storage? Are you insane? 60 days, I said calmly. At my expense. After that, you're free to handle it however you like. Lily crossed her arms. You're overreacting. Am I? I opened the folder and handed Dad a copy of the notice with his signature smudge of engine grease still on it from when he crumpled it off his truck. This was on your windshield. You got it. You ignored it. Jorge stepped back from the door, lock newly installed. He gave me a small nod. All set. Thank you, I said. Please bill me directly. Dad's fists balled. You're really doing this? I am. Lily's lip trembled, not with sadness, but fury. You hate us. Admit it. This isn't hate, I said. This is maintenance. The words came out steadier than I expected. Maintenance? Dad barked. You think this is a job? It's my house, my peace, my lungs. I paused, taking in the pale sunlight on the maple leaves. I almost died trying to hold everything together while you both treated my effort like a utility. That ends today. He stepped closer, voice lowering. After everything I've done for you. After everything I've done for you, I corrected. Paid bills you forgot, fixed your truck brakes in the rain, covered Lily's credit cards just this once 5 times. You built a system where I owed you for surviving. I don't owe anyone for breathing. A car rolled to a stop at the curb. Silver Honda, neat couple stepping out in scrubs. The travel nurses. They looked nervous, clutching a houseplant between them. Ms. Grant, the man asked, we can come back if... No, I said gently. You're fine. You're right on time. Dad turned crimson. You're renting it out? To strangers? To people who pay rent, I said, and respect property. Lily's voice sharpened. You'll regret this. I already regret waiting this long. Mark passed the new tenants the keys and smiled awkwardly. The woman, small, kind eyes, looked at me and whispered, We'll take good care of it. I know, I said. Dad took a step toward Mark like he might swing. I moved between them. Don't, I warned, my tone flat. If you touch him, I call the sheriff. If you're still here past 9, I call the sheriff. If you break anything, I call the sheriff. The air went silent except for the distant whir of traffic. He stared at me like he didn't recognize the woman standing there. Maybe he didn't. You think you're better than us because you have a spreadsheet? I think I'm better than I was last week, I said. It landed like a slap. Lily grabbed an armful of clothes from the couch and shoved them into a trash bag. You're heartless. I'm healthy, I replied. By 8:45, their truck was loaded. By 8:58, they were standing on the sidewalk. By 9:01, silence. Dad lingered by the maple tree, eyes on the house. You really don't want us back? I met his gaze. Not until respect costs less than love. He looked away first. The new tenants carried their boxes in around noon, careful and quiet. The woman placed the plant on the windowsill I'd sanded by hand. We'll treat the place right, she said. For the first time in months, I believed someone. When the locksmith's van pulled away, the last sound was the click of the new deadbolt sliding into place, a lock that didn't apologize for closing. That night, back at the motel, my phone buzzed with messages. Missed calls, guilt-laced texts, family chat notifications. I turned the screen face down and whispered to the ceiling, You can't heal in the house where you're still being drained. I didn't cry. I just listened to the silence, and for once it sounded like peace. The days after the eviction felt still. No arguments, no noise, no footsteps echoing down the hallway that wasn't mine anymore. Just quiet. I thought it would feel empty. It didn't. It felt like oxygen, like breathing without waiting for someone to hand me permission. The group chat blew up first. Aunt Carol sent me paragraphs about family unity. Uncle Dean chimed in. You could have handled this privately. And Lily, sweet, infuriating Lily, posted crying selfies with captions like, Some people just love control. I didn't reply. I muted the thread, dragged it into the folder labeled Archive, and opened my spreadsheet instead. Numbers were calmer than people. The columns stayed where you put them. By the end of day 2, I had a new budget, motel costs, lawyer consult, security deposit refund, storage fees, every dollar accounted for. I even made a new folder, Peace Fund. First entry, $500, money that used to vanish into other people's emergencies. On day 3, Dad called, then texted, then called again. I didn't pick up until voicemail number 4. Liv, you can't just leave your sister like this. She's family. She's got nowhere to go. Think about how this looks. I replayed the message twice, then opened my laptop and drafted a calm 2-line email. 60 days of storage covered, $500 toward Lily's deposit sent directly to leasing office. After that, she's an adult. 2 hours later, he texted, Keep your dirty money. 3 hours after that, Can you send $200 until Friday? I didn't reply. By the end of the week, my lawyer emailed, You own the property outright. Notice valid. Keep records. Stay professional. That's all I wanted. No drama, no apologies, just clean lines. When I told him Dad and Lily had left without damage, he said, That's rare. You handled it better than most. I smiled a little. Maintenance, I said. He didn't get it, but that was okay. I found a short-term sublet above a bakery downtown. The first morning, the smell of bread and sugar filled the air vents at 5 a.m., and for the first time in years, I overslept. No pounding on my door, no phone buzzing with requests, just the sun sneaking through the blinds and the hum of ovens below. When I finally made coffee, it tasted different, like it wasn't part of someone else's chaos. Dad's next email came 5 days later. You'll regret this when you're old and alone. I typed, deleted, and retyped before replying. Contact by email only. I'll respond within 48 hours. If you need budgeting help, ask respectfully. If Lily needs housing, there are apartments that take deposits. He wrote back 2 words. Don't bother. So I didn't. 2 weeks later, on a Thursday evening, I met him at a diner, the one off Route 9 we used to stop at after Lily's dance recitals. He'd asked for a quick dinner. I figured it was time. He was already there when I arrived, sitting in the same booth as always, staring at his black coffee like it owed him something. Hey, Dad, I said. He didn't look up right away. When he did, his voice was softer than I remembered. Lily's got a new place, he said. Small, but she's making it nice. Got a part-time salon job. That's good, I said. He nodded slowly. She misses you. I let out a quiet breath. Does she, or does she miss access? He winced. You really think we're that bad? I think we were broken, I said, and you mistook my exhaustion for loyalty. He leaned back, studying me, like I was a stranger he couldn't quite place. You've changed. I've healed, I corrected. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The waitress refilled our coffees. The smell of fried onions drifted through the air. He cleared his throat. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just thought we were helping Lily get on her feet. You were, I said, with my house. He rubbed his jaw, shame flickering across his face. You always were the strong one. That wasn't a compliment, I said gently. That was the job you gave me. After dinner, he reached for the check. I stopped him. I've got it, I said. He looked confused. You sure? Yes, but we're splitting next time. That earned me the first real smile I'd seen from him in months. A week later, I drove past the house. The travel nurses had hung fairy lights on the porch and planted flowers in the front bed. It looked peaceful, like the place had finally learned how to rest. Dad's truck slowed at the curb. He rolled the window down. You really did it, he said. I did. He nodded once. Where do I go when I need something now? Into your own life, I said softly. We both should have done that a long time ago. He didn't argue. He just nodded again, eyes shining more than he'd admit, and drove away. Back in my new apartment, I hung a small print above the desk. Boundaries are not walls. They're doors with locks, and keys you choose who to hand to. I still answer Dad's emails. I even check in with Lily once in a while. But now, every yes I give has a door frame around it. No guilt, no noise, just structure. People ask if I ever regret it. Evicting family. Sometimes when I see old photos or smell Lily's perfume on a passing stranger, my chest tightens. But regret isn't the right word. The right word is release. I didn't lose a family. I finally stopped being their spare oxygen tank. I stopped bleeding out to keep others breathing. And for the first time in years, I took a deep, full breath of my own.